The next step for these parts in most shops is the bander. So we're going to log on as my banding operator, Charles. He's brought to the time clock because he's not on the clock at the moment. You can see the color coding over in the employees area. We got Clay here. Real easy for the shop employees to see what each other are doing. People who have a higher permission level can actually see more detail as far as what people are doing. So Charles is going to punch in. He's not going to add a new job activity for the same reason that Clay didn't, because he's going to be prompted with his activity. He's going to go to the manufacturing tab. You can see that his is automatically set at the bander. It remembers where you were last, and that's where he usually is. So we can see every task that has some banding. And here's our test job. You can see it's scheduled for a little bit of CNC time still. And you can also start to see time allocated by labor group. It hasn't been long enough because this is not real, this is just a video, but we got 0.2 hours allocated to this task so far. We can scan individual parts when they're done. So let's just see what that looks like. We're going to go ahead and open the CNC. We don't have any real part labels to scan, but on an actual shop floor, you would have a part with a part label on it. I'm going to click on one of these, and I'm going to copy its part ID to the clipboard. Now I'm going to go to Scan Part Banding Complete. I'm going to manually enter a part. I'm going to paste in that part, and it's going to prompt him. It's not your current activity or task. So he's going to let it automatically log him into edge banding. When he's done scanning parts, he'll close it. You can see we had 544 edges to band. Now we have 540 edges to band because the part that we scanned as complete had 4 edges. We don't actually scan that way. There's a couple shops that do, I think, but we typically just right click at the end and complete all the banding for that task. Now it no longer shows here because there's nothing to do. If he happened to look at the CNC task, he would see there's one part or one sheet left here. We can also see that the estimated finishing date is moving up because we're completing things a lot more quickly than it had scheduled us to complete them. Now we'll be done with the cabinets in time, but not with the countertops in time. Next guy to usually see something is our assembly. So we're going to log on as my assembly operator. Again, he's going to punch in. Oh, I hit yes, I do want to start a new time allocation. So if he was going to do something that wouldn't involve interfacing with Enterprise Manager to get it to prompt you, he would just enter a job. He can enter a task. It's actually not mandatory. See why it's not red over here? This is green. That's kind of doesn't care what neutral here. This is red. If I tried to save, it's not going to let me because I have to have a valid activity code. He could say he's working on, whatever it is. He has a list of his activities down here. He's typically going to get banded parts. He does most of his interfacing in the shop access module. Quick access to a lot of functions for the guys. Typically what he's going to do is print the task's cabinet labels, and he can scan any part. He can scan the task cover sheet. We're going to scan that part that we copied to the clipboard in the last Now it's going to notice that he's working on something, but he's not working on this. So it's going to give him the chance to move to this. It's going to present him with the note. Everybody who interfaces with this task is going to be presented with that note. And now we have it, this is all controlled via settings, but we have it set to print one cabinet label per cabinet that's in, or assembly, so countertops too. Cabinet labels look like this, but again, it's all customizable. Has information where it goes on the job site. Contractors or delivery people or installers will use that to take it wherever it needs to be. In conditions, sizing. Right here would be a bill of materials, but only for those items that we've set to show on the cabinet label. And I'll demonstrate that in a minute here. If we go down some cabinets, we have these things set packaged with a cabinet. This is actually a client system, pops up with messages, when PO purchase orders are faxed, or when somebody completes the first assembly for a task or the first sheet for a task. It just happened to pop up now. It's actually not connected to our mock-up database. Here we have a group of hardware that's packaged with the assembly. These are things that we build into a package, and they use this as their bill of materials. We don't print any sheets out of Cabinet Vision. And then things that are going to be used in construction, it tells them how many and what drawer guides to use. Shows what the hinges are. This one actually traveled on to the next sheet because it was too long. What the doors are, what the door boxes are, where the hinges are on the doors. Alright. Then the next thing that happens is he finishes up his first cabinet. So he uses the complete assembly function, and he scans any part or assembly label and then it's actually allocating the inventory that the bill of materials calls for from the cabinet or from inventory into the job. And now it's going to print one more label. We put one label on the outside of the package and one on the inside. We're going to go back to me inside the office here. And from a management perspective, I can watch the manufacturing tab. And I happen to be on the assembly routing, but I could change over and look at CNC, banding, see what kind of schedule we got. And I can see that there's 23 cabinets left to assemble. I can actually right click on this. We can view the assemblies. And I can see 219 is the cabinet that's completed. If I click on that, we can get a list of activities here. So there's actually 3 parts left to cut still, because there's one sheet that was never completed. Jason printed a cabinet label, completed the assembly, printed a cabinet label. There's one on a shipment scheduled for today. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's just mock-up data. If you don't want to scan individual cabinets, and some places don't, there's actually a quick complete assemblies similar to the complete banding. Only here you're presented with a list of all the assemblies, and you can check or uncheck the ones you want. We're prompted here whether we want to allocate stock inventory. A lot of times this function is used to catch stuff that got missed, and there may have been a count since then. So at this point it's completing each cabinet, allocating the inventory for that cabinet. Okay, I actually canceled the completion there. Certain amount in. This mock-up database is running very slow. So you can see there's 20 out of 24 cabinets left that still need to be assembled. Next thing that typically happens is, of course, the shipping. And our guys can load a shipment on a truck. Sometimes we'll stage the shipment ahead of time. And so we'll scan, verify that we have the items. Here it's ready for me to scan some stuff. I can scan any part. So again, we'll use the same part that we...
2-19. Ready.
You can hear some talking. That's because when you're loading stuff on, it's nice to get some audio feedback so you don't have to be looking at the screen all the time. If we view this shipment now, We can see a little different color down here, indicating something different about that. We can see that it was scanned while verifying items. Again, it's actually waiting on 3 parts to be cut still, but not the point. Then, again, the next thing that happens is we actually load them onto the truck.
Ready.
So we'll use that same part that we have in the clipboard.
2-19. Ready.
And looking at this item, we can see there's one loaded item. Maybe we want to include a SKU item. We want to send some extra shelf pins. This is a good example of our SKU inventory management. There's 1,224 of these on hand, 400 are committed. We scroll down, we can see 400 committed in assembly. You can see what task they're in and what time that task is scheduled to start. And if we add 1,000 shelf pins to send, and this would just be extra because we had them in the bill of materials to be used when they were actually producing the cabinets. If we had set them as add to shipment, then they would have added themselves automatically to the shipment when we added the cabinets for shops that send them separate. You can see now looking at it, now there's 1,400 committed, 400 in assembly, 1,000 in shipping, and we can see that on this date, the on-hand is going to drop below 0. And so our MRP functions would kick in to order it in time that didn't occur. The typical way to manage a job, though, is just to pull up that job in the jobs module. It's basically what it's for. We'll pull up the rooms. You'll see here we have our list of tasks, and there's our task that's out in manufacturing right now. You can see that it's also got some time accruing against it because it's taken me this long to make these videos. If we drill down, you can see some color coding. And again, nobody remembers what all the colors are. They're just to indicate something's different. There is a legend, but it's not super important. We can drill down. We can see these are the cabinets that are completed based on their colors. And based on the color, this is one's actually shipped. So we can see its whole lifetime here. We can see when it was imported. We can also drill into it. We can load assembly. See the individual parts. Here's the unfinished left in. Here's everything we know about it. Here's everything that ever happened to it. We can see that these doors are in a grain match group. It knows that. Let's load up a different cabinet because those are not cut. The coloring is indicating whether they're cut. And so these have never been cut. Apparently I picked everything that was on that last sheet not cut. One of the things the guys can do is to scan a part damaged. We can actually do it from right here too by right clicking and toggling damaged. We can go right to the CNC sheet for that part. Not looking to demonstrate that. They can scan this part out as damaged. And notice is this part's grain matched. You want to set all the other grain matched parts to damaged? That way they scan one part and it tells them you got to go find the rest of the parts because we're taking that whole face out. We'll say yes. Alright. We can also look on the home screen now. And I'm going to have, because I have it assigned, I mean, what people see and what shows up for them on the home screen is totally based on permissions. But there's damaged parts that need to be reissued. These are the 2 that were scanned. And with the click of a button here, I can load these damaged parts up in the Screen and Machine Center. It found 2 out of 2, and they're now loaded in the Screen and Machine Center. You'll see that doesn't show up anymore on my home screen because it's been taken care of. you'll see the entire import that was used to generate those parts here, and everything has had its quantity changed to 0 except for the 2 parts that needed to be rerun. So we would simply click launch. It would open the screen of Machine Center. We'd renest our parts, re-import them. You notice it found an offcut. That's not a full sheet size. It found an offcut based on what the name of the laminate is. And those are not pre-programmed names. You can have any arbitrary name you like. And we're being asked to import that CNC information. We could actually attach it to the existing task if we wanted to, but we're going to use this Recuts option, which creates a task called Recuts, puts it right up to the top, marks the parts as they come off as needing to be caught up to the rest of the job. Here's that default task note. And there we are. Brings us to the manufacturing, so we can adjust the schedule if we need, but you'll see that Recuts tasks show up at the top in red. Just while we're standing here, we can pin tasks and CNC programs here, things that are used often or need accessed. We have offcut management, so we can pull up offcuts sorted by material and see all the offcuts we have in inventory. And see this one's been assigned to a task. Here's the definition of it. We have manufacturing productivity. So we can see today we sent only 10 sheets. Yesterday we sent 23. Day before we sent 33. We had 10 hours of CNC time, which comes out to 3.3. Tuesday we completed 19 cabinets on 14.2 hours of labor, which comes out to 1.3 assemblies per hour. We can see 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. You can actually set what this is. And you can use this data and you can set it to learn rates of things so that it gets a more accurate prediction, or you can just set the rates at whatever you want to set them at. Has some neat project management stuff. I'm just going to fly through some stuff here. We have this jobs dashboard. These fields here are the properties, so I can set which ones and what order they're in. So if we want to see the architect firm, and this is by user, so each user can have their own field showing. So we could sort by install date, sort by when we need shops, sort by the next delivery date. Again, if we edit one of these jobs, you'll see that that's simply a property that somebody set up as a date type property. These are shared job lists, and so this is our commercial jobs. From the job lookup screen we have the same thing, only we can have a different set of fields showing, because here maybe all I care about is install date and next delivery. We can edit that shared jobs list, and we can define what roles can do what with it. So these roles, we have these job status updates. Actually, this is just a status update. It can be applied to about anything. Have some predefined ones. You can edit what they are. Real quick way to see where your jobs are at. Employees, we group employees into roles, and then each role can have particular permissions set. So my designer can't do any of this stuff, but can do this stuff. Users can likewise have custom properties. We can record compensation, and if we record compensation, then we can get actual labor costing, including overtime. We can create custom properties for users. We have a finance module. can give us a quick overview. We can actually see the state of our business at any given date by changing this date. You can see open contracts, invoices, purchasing, how many time clock hours, revenue per time clock hour, all kinds of junk. We have a calendar function, which we can give it a time frame. We can see everything that has a schedule. So here we have a shipment. So I could look out next week and say, what do we have to do next week? And it'll show shipments, it'll show custom job properties that are date types, it'll show scheduled work here. We have job costing. If I go back to jobs module, pull up this test job we've been playing with. You can scroll down, we can see because we've completed stuff, we've ordered stuff, we're applying that there. We're also applying hours. We can compare actual versus budget. We can do profitability. If I pull up a real job, you can see here, got outstanding balance still, haven't been paid all the way. Cost of goods, it exceeded our budget cost. Hours were way under. We look like we're going to do well on this. Right now we've actually invoiced out $57.10 an hour, gross margin per hour. Budget was 60 approximately. There's some real data for it. We can record issues. We can see the invoices that we sent and when and if they've been paid. We can look at shipping. We can look at stock SKUs that we used. We can look at purchases that were made just for this job. So we bought some edge banding. You can see the color coding, whether it's here or not. So we ordered 2 rolls. We've received one. We've been invoiced for one. You can see a list of activities when it happened. Got some Corian on order. And again, we can use the job properties anywhere. I didn't type Corian sand. I typed SSM1, and it auto-completed out for Corian sand. We can view the time and metrics that were spent on this job. We can see different groups and individual activities. We have reporting built in. We can click on anything and we can add a file. We can have template files too. Here's an example. We can also add crystal reports to these. So here's a project welcome letter as a template. I'm going to hold down control like it says on that tooltip there. Open it up so you can see the source data, and it gives me a little auto text information here. So you can see it starts off with job description, project manager's name, how much. This is a formatter, formats contract total to be money. And if instead of holding down control and clicking it, I just click it, it's going to attach it to this job, and you can see that it's filled out all the auto text. I'm going to go ahead and end the video because I could spend another 4 hours just covering all the random little things that are in here.